Linen went to the familiar bar to find a partner for himself. After chatting and finding a suitable person, both left the bar. Then, they accidentally bumped into someone. Oh, sorry. Linen looked up and was utterly shocked to see the person in front of him. It was his director. As he went up to the room with his partner, Linen couldn't stop thinking about his director. He was furious because the director had just passed by him as if he didn't know him. Linen used to be an arrogant person. During his school days, with the advantage of height and a handsome face, Linen was always surrounded by girls. Despite his promiscuous and despicable character. But in the eyes of the teachers, he was a model student. Linen has an older brother. From high school, this brother was known as a thug. So, he naturally enjoyed a reckless life without any obstacles. Linen's parents also trusted him more than his brother, to prevent him from being negatively influenced by his brother. The parents decided to send him to study in the USA. This was yet another opportunity for him to indulge in a more dissolute life than before. A tragedy struck, and Linen's parents suddenly passed away. After the shock, Linen regained his spirit and studied properly, becoming a diligent and capable employee. It has been 6 months since Linen has been working at this hotel chain. His boss is Director Young Seo-won, the third-generation tycoon. There is a meeting today at 11 o'clock. Before that, the department head wants to meet you. Would you like me to schedule an appointment? All right, go ahead and do that. The reason Linen took this job was not because of the high salary the company paid, but because of this man. Today, Linen is still flustered by the director's handsomeness. When Linen asked for permission to leave, Seo-won called him back. He rested his chin on his hand and looked at Linen, asking, "What's the secretary's name?" Suddenly, Linen wanted to strangle him immediately. He had been working here for 6 months, but even his name, people did not want to remember. However, Linen still smiled and replied politely, "Is it Linen?" The director smiled and then said, "Thinking about it, I don't even know the name of my secretary, lie." At that moment, Linen wanted to scream that the director should not smile like that, because my heart is very fragile. But of course, Linen still had to put on a serious face. It's just that I want to at least know the name of Secretary Linen. Because I feel he will be my secretary until death, Secretary Linen. Easily falling for that smiling face, Linen voluntarily let the director command him until death. His inner self was screaming, "That is my duty. I was born to be your secretary." Being a secretary for Seo-won is not easy. Seo-won is a workaholic, so the schedule is always busy, with no fixed quitting time. Linen also had to be his personal driver. Today was also a busy day. Linen prepared a hamburger and a soda. He sat waiting for the director in the car. Looking at that perfect face and body walking, Linen was extremely excited. He even envied the road because he also wanted to be trampled on by the director like that. Linen tried to suppress his emotions, then asked, "Would you like a hamburger?" The director was surprised. "Now? Didn't I just finish eating and come here?" Linen knew Seo-won would not refuse, because every time after eating fish, he always ate a hamburger for dessert. As expected, Seo-won reached out his hand and waited for Linen to give him the snack. "I will enjoy it." Just about to start the car, Seo-won asked, "Where are the fries? I guessed you wouldn't eat them, so I didn't get them." Linen replied immediately. "How did Secretary Linen know that?" "I saw it when cleaning the car." "You don't need to do things like cleaning the car, someone else will do it. It's okay, it's not hard at all." "Would you like a vanilla latte?" Seo-won was surprised that Linen understood him so well. Linen is confident that he is not a tailgater. He is just trying to do his job well. Suddenly, Seo-won asks, "Is Secretary Linen a workaholic?" His kindness makes me want to repay him by turning myself inside out. Linen's heart wants to leap out of his chest. He feels that his dedicated efforts have been recognized. Seo-won lists the things. Putting a spoonful of sugar in the coffee every morning, cleaning the car. I don't say I'm in pain, but painkillers are always available. Since meeting at the garage, I've found these actions to be quite unusual. The analysis is too logical. Linen is startled as if struck in the heart. Then he calms down and says, "No, sir, if you think I'm overstepping, please tell me." Looking through the rearview mirror, Linen sees the director with a sly smile. "It's just for work, right? Because of the comfortable work environment." Black turns to red. Linen looks in the rearview mirror again. The smile is still there. Then the director casually says, "Let's get going then." Seeing Linen sitting in a daze, the young man kisses him. In recent years, Linen occasionally meets this person. The two have no feelings for each other. They only meet when necessary. The young man says, "If there's anything, you can tell me." Linen seriously asks, "Do you like me? Are you crazy?" The guy is astonished and can't believe his ears. "You're just a good partner, that's all." Linen falls silent and into deep thought. "What have you been rambling about until now? Speak so people can understand." "Someone invited me to commute together." "Then do it, there's no problem," Linen explains further. "But that's my superior." The guy pauses for a moment. "Is it workplace harassment? Will work be hindered if I don't agree?" Linen recalls the conversation with the director after the proposal in the car. "If I have feelings for the director, is that also not a problem?" CO1 responds indifferently. "No problem. But if you expect something similar from me, I'll fire you." "I won't be fired." Although Linen answered bluntly, deep down she constantly cursed the despicable CO1. Linen admitted to her partner, "I like that person. And that person wants a relationship like the one between me and him." Returning to work as usual, after working overtime, CO1 complained of hunger and wanted to eat something. Linen understood very well. "Do you want a donut and a cup of black coffee?" CO1 likes sweets and diluted coffee. He bit into the donut. Then he licked the remaining sauce off his own luscious lips with his tongue. Linen was flustered by that sly tongue. CO1 looked at Linen and said, "If I'm hungry, you feed me, if I'm thirsty, you give me a drink. So why can't we be intimate? Am I not your type?" Linen's heart was pounding, that expression looked charming and cute. But reason held Linen back. He sighed and shook his head. "I can't do that with my boss." CO1 said nonchalantly, "Consider it part of the job." Linen tried to answer as straightforwardly as possible. "The director is my boss. Isn't that the same as bribery? I'm about to go crazy. What should I do?" Linen's inner self screamed. "It's because I'm in front of you that I want to go mad." "Me, because of me." CO1 still didn't give up, looked at Linen and said, "Why is only intimacy not allowed? You're harassing me." "If you consider that harassment, then I want to harass you even more," CO1 said with a mischievous smile. If others heard these words, it would sound like dialogue from some trashy superiors in a sick gay movie. But for Linen, it was the sweet whisper of a devil. Linen's face flushed red, and his heart felt like it stopped beating. CO1 smiled. "He should not have let me know that he is gay. I will ask one last time. Secretary Linen, sleep with me." The final ultimatum left Linen a bit dizzy. Although he didn't want to, he had to give an answer immediately. Remembering the conversation with the partner. "The thing is, you can't stand that person, can you?" Indeed, Linen would regret missing the chance to embrace him. However, there is one more issue. Linen also wants to be on top. "Damn, this issue too? I will use my mouth for you. Once a week, if you want to go home, I will let you leave work early to find another man." The director is truly generous. Linen's heart is shattered. But what can he do? From the beginning, CO1 only saw him as a partner. Linen walked over to lock the door, then spoke with a trembling voice. "I have locked the door. You go take a shower first, director." In response to Linen was the delighted smile of CO1. Linen is taking a shower. CO1 teases Linen with kisses. The sound of the shower and the heat of the water filled the air, adding to the secrecy. Linen returned home. He felt so stupid. His body was exhausted. And the other person was beaming with joy over what they had caused. Seeing Linen looking uncomfortable, CO1 asked, "Does it hurt a lot?" Then he put on a smug face and said, "Because his face looks too provocative without glasses, I can't stop myself. Sorry about that." Linen is really at a loss with this person, not knowing who is the provocative one here. But just one smile from CO1 can make Linen forgive everything. It must be a face earned from saving the earth in a past life. "Tomorrow at 6 o'clock, come to my house for work," CO1 said with a smile and quickly left. Linen cursed under his breath, "Damn it. Liking someone like this means I'm beyond help." At 6 in the morning, Linen arrived at CO1's apartment. He had been to the parking lot many times, but this was the first time Linen went up to the director's house. CO1 opened the door, rubbing his eyes, his face still sleepy. A large house, Linen was surprised by the high ceiling in the living room. Suddenly, CO1 asked, "Did you sleep well?" Linen grimaced and replied, "I slept well, but I will charge you for the taxi." CO1 moved closer to Linen, inhaling the scent on him. Then he smiled and said, "You smell nice." CO1 pulled Linen into the room and pushed him onto the bed. CO1 said with a mischievous smile, "Yesterday was not enough." He was so hasty that Linen hadn't even had time to take off his glasses. The feeling of lying on a soft bed was very different from yesterday in the office. Linen's strength gradually depleted, and the remaining rationality told him he needed to shower and go to work. But in the end, he couldn't resist the sleepiness. Linen woke up startled by the sound of the phone ringing. He answered without knowing who it was. The wake-up call. "Today, go to work in the afternoon. The necessary schedule has already been written in the notebook." Linen was surprised and then embarrassed when he heard the director's voice. The director called to wake him up. Linen was flustered, her heart pounding. She didn't expect CO1 to be so gentle. It was like a sweet dream. CO1 was known as the third generation of a wealthy family. He is the only son of Chairman Young's youngest son, the founder of the Samsung Group. CO1 is a talented and successful businessman. Linen had a business trip with CO1 in Busan over the weekend. Fortunately, today's schedule for the director did not require Linen to accompany him. He was tired and lay stretched out on the hotel bed. This also meant that Linen was free tonight. He was delighted to be able to enjoy a full evening. The next morning, now it's 7 o'clock. The schedule for today starts at 10 o'clock. Currently staying in an expensive hotel. All expenses have been paid. Linen took the opportunity to go to the swimming pool. It's early morning, but there are quite a few people here. They are charming in their bikinis. This causes Linen to be unable to resist admiring them. Suddenly, a beautiful girl whispers a question. "Are you here alone? Are you here for a vacation?" "No, I am here for work." "That's too bad, I was about to invite you for a meal." Linen smiles in response. "Breakfast is fine, let's go together." At that moment, CO1's voice rings out. "Secretary Linen." CO1 approaches, her perfect and attractive body clad in swimwear. Linen can't stop marveling at her face and figure. Even the girl from earlier now only has eyes for CO1. But CO1 completely ignores her and coldly says, "Come to my room right now." "Yes, right away." Linen immediately took a shower and changed clothes. The two had a meal together in the room. CO1 spoke in a slightly brusque tone. "Secretary Linen, it seems you don't know how to refuse women." "Because I'm also fine with women," Linen replied frankly. CO1 paused for a moment and then teased. "Yet, your back is still so broad. It means my intervention was in vain. If it weren't for me, you would be in bed with that girl right now." CO1 said with a nonchalant voice and a smile. Linen felt a bit sad. Actually, he had hoped this business trip would bring them closer. However, last night he was left alone. Not a single message from the director. "It's okay. Until now, I'm still satisfied with the relationship between me and the director." CO1 looked at Linen and asked, "What do you mean by until now?" Linen did not answer but just gave a wry smile. He wanted to hide his feelings. Linen changed the topic to work. "The schedule is to leave at 10 a.m. today until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Because the flight was cancelled. So today, you can rest," Linen heard Thursday say. Suddenly, CO1 stood up from the chair. One hand supported Linen's chin. Then he placed a kiss on his lips. "No, because I will be very busy." There was no time for Linen to react. Under CO1's assault, Linen was easily swept along. His body was burning hot. Suddenly, CO1 touched Linen's face and said, "Secretary Linen, your face really suits my taste." Linen's heart seemed to stop. He couldn't believe the director would say such things. Trembling, Linen asked, "Are you joking with me?" CO1 replied with a mischievous smile, "Why would I joke about that?" The two continued their work with the unfinished bottle of cooking oil. Many times, Linen wanted to confess his feelings. But he feared that he would turn his back and treat him like a stranger. The next morning, Linen woke up groggily and was about to take a shower. Then CO1 kept him on the bed. After that, CO1 kissed his cheek. His face was still sleepy. His eyes half opened, looking at him affectionately. As CO1 caressed Linen's face, he said, I thought even if you had your own room, you would still stay in mine. I wanted to do it yesterday. Without Secretary Linen, I had to do it myself. CO1 leaned in and whispered, if we had done it yesterday, it would have been even more intense. Yesterday, I ate a lot of nutritious food, like eel and octopus. The thing is, the partner CO1 met yesterday had prepared the menu very carefully. They even brought their daughter along, and intended to turn the workplace into a matchmaking spot. Suddenly, CO1 changed the subject. He groped Linen and said roguishly, just doing it once isn't too regrettable, is it? If there's any style you like, just let me know. The next day, CO1 had a golf appointment that lasted several hours. Linen had some free time to rest. Linen's body was exhausted. This was because CO1 had kept him busy all morning and evening the day before. Linen received a phone call. He thought it was the director, but it was someone else. The man cheerfully said, Linen, you came to Busan and didn't get in touch? Such a heartless person. Get out of the car. It turned out that this man was nearby and could see Linen. As Linen opened the car door, a familiar face appeared. Are you still well, Linen? It was Gio. He was a junior, 1 year younger than Linen. It seems their last meeting was about half a year ago. You came to the golf course but didn't play golf. What are you doing here? I came for work. I'm waiting for someone. You still have to work on the weekend? Yes, so even though I came to Busan, I couldn't get in touch with him. How have you been lately? I'm still fine. Don't stand here anymore. Let's go into the cafe and have a coffee. Inside the cafe, everyone's eyes were drawn to the two of them. Actually, it was because of Gio. A handsome man with a perfect figure, wearing a striking red shirt. Suddenly, Gio caressed Linen's face. His gaze was provocative. He's up. Gio crosses his legs. Then, he intentionally swings his leg to touch Linen's. Linen smiles, fully understanding Gio. His face clearly shows he wants to go to bed right now. I've already said it. We're during work hours, so I can't go with him. Linen also feels regretful, but because he overworked yesterday, he has no reaction today. Linen finds Gio's disappointed face quite adorable. Previously, Gio didn't want to succeed his father, but now he has changed his decision. He wants to quickly rise to a high position and hire Linen as his secretary. That's a big dream. The dark intention of wanting to hire me as a secretary makes Linen laugh. Although, his current boss is no less dark. When will you return to Seoul? It could be tonight or even early tomorrow morning. Gio moves closer and whispers in a deep, warm voice. Let's leave it for tomorrow. Stay with me tonight. When the seductive perfume makes Linen's mind hazy, he admits to himself that he is a philanderer. He likes his boss, but still desires this man. Linen is about to nod in agreement. Then he hears someone calling. Is that Gio? What a surprise. In front of him are CO1 and Jang Won-min. Gio responds, Uncle, you're here? Linen is startled and amazed. Gio is Won-min's nephew. Why such a coincidence? Caught by CO1 staring as if caught red-handed in a dark deed, Linen hastily signals, I don't know anything. Really? Won-min says, I just finished playing golf. What are you doing here, nephew? I'm meeting a friend. He is Linen, who has been a great help to me while I was in Seoul. Instinctively, Linen politely bows, I am Linen, secretary to Director Young CO1. Won-min laughs heartily, oh, you're Director CO1's secretary? That's quite a fate. Just now, Linen was thinking about clearing out CO Gio. But now, he can't even face the director. Won-min entrusts his nephew to CO1. Then they continue their schedule together. The two of them have just left. Linen immediately asks CO Gio, what, you know my director? Just now, you mentioned going to Seoul for training, didn't you? Your uncle said he would find a familiar place for you. This coincidence made Linen quite embarrassed. CO Gio suddenly asked. Do you know why I want to go to Seoul? Then. He grabbed Linen's hand. Seeing CO Gio's action and his meaningful words, Linen was quite flustered. It's not easy to meet a handsome guy like you. Think carefully. Seeing that bright, smiling face, Linen suddenly forgot what he was about to say. And his heart was pounding. CO1 ended today's schedule in a drunken state. We will return to Seoul tomorrow afternoon. CO1 shook his head. Tomorrow morning, I have to go back to the office in the afternoon. If the flight time is not enough, switch to the high-speed train. Indeed, CO1, the workaholic king, Linen calculated the appropriate time to book the train ticket and return the rented car. Finalize the train ticket booking at 9 o'clock. Return to the hotel. Linen helped CO1 back to his room. So, I'll see the director at 8:20 tomorrow morning. Alright, get some rest. CO1 staggered in and closed the door. Yesterday, Linen had slept in that room. So he had a little hope that the director would keep him there. But that regret quickly passed. The two are not in a romantic relationship, just partners when needed. Linen will go drinking with COGO. Linen happily texted to inform. In the 30 minutes waiting for COGO to arrive, Linen took a clean shower. Dressed up neatly. Thought that going to Busan was just for work. But now, the opportunity to go out alone made him extremely excited. While putting on shoes and preparing to go out, the doorbell rang. Linen did not tell COGO his room number. So who could it be? The door opened. It was the director. CO1 entered the room, and Linen stepped back a few paces. CO1 asked, "What is the relationship between you two?" Linen was stunned by CO1's sudden question. CO1 continued brazenly, "Damn it, because I've been drinking, I really want to do it now." "Where do you think you're going?" "Don't go, stay with me," he said. Before Linen could even grasp what was happening, CO1 had already moved forward to embrace him tightly. Then he bit him eagerly. His body reeking of alcohol. The intention to meet COGO had completely vanished from Linen's mind. Linen turned his face away from CO1, "Wait a moment, director. I want to make a phone call." However, CO1 pushed Linen and immediately attacked. "Director, wait a moment." Linen pushed CO1 away and took out his phone to call COGO. But CO1 did not stop. Linen held the phone with one hand, the other hand struggling against a drunkard. He showed no signs of stopping. And he smiled slyly. Linen was startled, then suddenly screamed out, "It hurts, don't bite." Just as COGO answered the phone, Linen said, "I'm on my way." Linen stammered, "Well, that is, the thing is, I." CO1's assault made Linen shudder, unable to utter a word. COGO, not hearing clearly, asked again, "What did you say?" Linen tried to grit his teeth to suppress the embarrassing noise. Then he grabbed CO1's hair and yanked it hard. "What are you doing?" "I'm on the phone." But it seemed the drunkenness made CO1 feel no pain. Linen continued on the phone, "COGO, I'm sorry, but something urgent has come up, so I can't go." COGO asked loudly, "What? Why all of a sudden?" Linen still clutched CO1's hair tightly, trying to say, "I'm really sorry, I'm turning off my phone now, we'll meet later when I get to Busan, okay?" "That damn guy," COGO cursed intermittently. Then Linen grabbed CO1's head with both hands, and finally, he agreed to stop. CO1 brazenly said, "It hurts me too, who would grab their boss's hair like that?" And then he smiled, pretending to be innocent. That is an easy weapon to defeat Linen in any situation. The next morning, the two returned to Seoul by high-speed train as planned. CO1 focused on reviewing documents. Linen wondered, "Do you get to ride high-speed trains like this?" Linen yawned repeatedly. He couldn't sleep last night. It was all because of CO1. CO1, after tumbling around, immediately slept in Linen's room. Linen, holding his sore hip, stayed awake all night. Like a fool. He lay there, watching that face sleep soundly. Suddenly, someone patted his shoulder. Linen woke up, the train had stopped. Realizing he had been nodding off in front of his boss, Linen startled and sat up straight. CO1 smiled and said, "You slept without drooling?" Linen was confused, "Sleep like what?" "It wasn't like I was leaning on your shoulder, sleeping like a pig, right?" "To my mother in heaven, thank you for giving birth to me, someone who sleeps without drooling." On the car ride back, CO1's mood seemed a bit off. Linen observed for a moment and then asked, "Would you like a hamburger, sir?" CO1 replied immediately, "No," very briefly and coldly. "Is it not because of the hangover from yesterday? Has the atmosphere become chilly?" Suddenly CO1 asked, "What is your relationship with COGO? Why suddenly mention COGO like that?" The work with Jang Won-min has been settled already. He's someone I knew from university in Seoul. Seo-won continued to ask, that's quite a while ago, isn't it? Were you ever in love? After a pause, Linen answered, that's my personal matter. As he answered, Linen glanced through the mirror, their eyes met. Linen continued to answer. No. Seo-won just grunted. Then he suddenly changed the subject, I suddenly want to eat a hamburger. Seo-won received the hamburger from Linen. After that, Linen went to buy coffee for Seo-won. Seo-won said with concern, Secretary Lin, buy one for yourself too. Linen thought to himself, if it's just the relationship of a secretary and a director. He wouldn't need to care if I had lunch. Linen sighed. He bought a vanilla latte for Seo-won. Seo-won's mood now seemed better than before. He took a sip of the coffee. Seo-won exclaimed in surprise. Hot, a little white foam still stuck on his lips. Linen twisted in agony, oh my, why is he so cute? Let me blow on it for you. Seo-won smiled and said, there's no need to blow on hot coffee like this. Finally, Seo-won smiled, and Linen felt relieved. Linen always paid attention to his emotions, to his every small action. But he absolutely couldn't let Seo-won realize his feelings. Because he feared that this relationship would end immediately. Or is he jealous? Linen guessed and startled himself. He kept asking about Seo-gyo. After finding out that he and Seo-gyo had never been in love, his mood improved. A shout from outside the bathroom interrupted Linen's thoughts. Hey, you jerk! The alarm. Linen startled and opened the door. It was Leon, Linen's older brother. The one who had banged on the bathroom door until it bled. Even though the door was not locked. Leon rushed into the bathroom, using a chokehold to subdue his younger brother. Not until his brother lay sprawled on the floor, panicking and screaming for surrender, did Leon let go. Work's been tough, huh? You've gotten thinner, he said. Having just choked his brother, now he shows concern. It sounds illogical but convincing. That's Linen's older brother for you. I'll find you another job. It's not too tiring. It's just running back and forth from one place to another. Why is that? Recently, I started a romantic relationship, so I've been a bit out of sorts. This guy, should I beat some sense into you? Knowing his brother was just bluffing, Linen still pretended to be scared. That's right, you're of marriageable age now. You get married first, I can wait. Linen is 30 years old, and his brother is 1 year older. But until now, Linen has never seen him with a girlfriend. Linen only knows he does something. Like something out of the underworld, but it's not clear. Linen advised, take a hot shower. Otherwise, you'll catch a cold and get a headache. As usual, Linen prepared coffee for Seo-won. But today, something was off. Seo-won kept staring at him, which he never used to do. Linen continued with the thought, Seo-won is jealous. Seo-won asked, Secretary Linen. Your complexion doesn't look good. What happened to your neck? Linen went to check himself. He was surprised to see the red mark was even more pronounced than in the morning. Seo-won said cheerfully, was your opponent that aggressive last night? Is that Secretary Linen's preference? Absolutely not, sir. This is from my brother playing the choking game. I've been working hard for 3 days, so I don't have the energy for such games at night. Seo-won said nonchalantly, and here I thought I had given Secretary Linen enough rest. Seo-won put his hand inside Linen's tie. Then he pulled both the tie and the person closer to him. Linen asked, what now, sir? Isn't it okay? It's been a while since we've done this. Linen considers, although his schedule is empty in the morning, there are still employees working. Linen holds Seo-won's hand, which is caressing his face, and says, if you intended to give me a rest, you should have let me off work early. The earliest I can leave now is 9 p.m. Is Secretary Linen's house far away? It takes about an hour by public transport. You have my spare car key. In that case, after work, just drive my car home. In the morning, it will be convenient for you to pick me up for work. These sweet words make Linen's heart flutter. He knows he must stay alert, but he can't control his emotions. Linen raises his hand to Seo-won's nape, pulls him closer, and plants a kiss on his lips. Seo-won is quite surprised by this sudden kiss. But then, both of them actively engage in a deeper kiss. Indeed, CO1 likes him, and the atmosphere heats up. CO1 wants more. Although also very eager, Linen holds CO1's hand and firmly says, "Not now, we have to wait until after work." Interrupted midway, CO1's face crumples. "Can I leave work on time today?" CO1 reluctantly praises Secretary Lin and is indeed capable. Knowing how to enhance the work efficiency of your director like that. Linen smiles contentedly, teasing CO1. Their partnership now has a new flavor, even more exciting than romance. But when returning to work, Linen eagerly awaits the end of the workday. He checks his watch constantly, regretting not having done a quick task in the morning. As the end of the workday approaches, the phone rings. A call from the lobby. A familiar person wants to meet the director. Linen goes to report, someone named CO1 wants to meet the director. They are already waiting in the lobby. CO1 smiles slightly, let them in. Linen is extremely curious, not knowing who this person is that makes the director smile upon hearing the name. A few minutes pass, and the elevator door opens. A young man with a well-groomed appearance quickly approached. Linen observed attentively. He had a hunch. Min Seo-won, he is gay, he thought. Min Seo-won went straight into the director's room without needing Lin's guidance. Then he greeted in a hip-hop style, "Seo-won, bro. That's quite rude. When did you return to Korea?" "Just yesterday. I snuck away from my parents, so now I don't have a single penny on me." "Pretty clever, so now you've come here?" "Secretary Linen, you may leave now. There's no need for anything else." Being dismissed like that, Linen was angry but couldn't show it. "I missed you a lot." Those were the last words Linen heard as the door closed. The boy returned to Korea because he missed CO1, having escaped from his parents. It seems like today he won't be able to leave work on time and also won't be able to stay with CO1. Linen was disappointed. He tapped his fingers on the table and cursed under his breath. Not knowing what they were doing inside, CO1 could even do that in the office. Linen was restless and worried. Suddenly, the door opened. CO1 clung affectionately to CO1's hand as they came out together. CO1 looked at Linen and said, "Secretary Linen, you can leave work too." Linen had anticipated CO1 would say that. But what about the promise from the morning? Was he supposed to forget it because of this kid? Despite being extremely upset, of course, he couldn't show it. Linen stood up calmly, smiled brightly, and asked, "What about the car then?" "Secretary Linen, just take the car home. Come pick me up tomorrow morning." CO1 glanced back, then left for the elevator with CO1. Linen thought to himself, "Does he know how I'm feeling right now? Or is he doing this to make me jealous? So now, shall we go to your house? I want to sleep at your place." "Not allowed. It's very inconvenient." CO1 kept pleading until the elevator door closed. That night, CO1 messaged, "Remember to come to my house on time tomorrow," and he sent the house password along with it. Linen lay there, staring at CO1's message until midnight. Linen tossed and turned, unable to sleep. They had been together until this late hour. Kissing that person as he kisses me, embracing each other gently yet passionately. As a result, Linen didn't sleep at all last night, his face was haggard and tired. Standing in front of CO1's house, Linen was anxious. What if he opened the door and saw CO1? He feared he couldn't control his expression. Even though he knew the password, Linen still pressed the doorbell to wait for someone to open the door. CO1 appeared with a towel wrapped around his lower body. It seemed he had just finished showering, water still dripping from his hair. "You could have just opened the door and come in." CO1 turned his back and walked in, revealing red nail marks on his back. "Is that the nature of our relationship?" Not hesitating to let me see the marks of another man. But Linen couldn't show his jealousy. CO1 muttered, "Oh, my stomach. I bought it." Linen quickly took it out of his pocket. "A hamburger and a glass of Coke." CO1 received it with a bright smile. Indeed, it could only be Secretary Linen. Watching CO1 sitting there, Linen thought again about the nail marks on his back. How Min CO1 must have embraced him, leaving such marks. I also want to leave nail marks on that body. But I'm afraid he would be annoyed. How could CO1 do that? CO1 quickly finished eating. "I'll go dry my hair and come back, you rest for a bit." Left alone, Linen sighed softly. I knew that one day CO1 would sleep with someone else. But when it actually happened, I felt so uncomfortable. Seeing the trash that CO1 left behind. Linen rolled up his sleeves to clean it up. Not stopping there, Linen seemed obsessed. He went into CO1's bedroom to clean. There were no traces on the bed of the mess made with cooking oil. CO1 entered the room, frowning, and said, "Why is Secretary Lin cleaning up here?" "Because I have nothing else to do." "You should rest a bit. You look very pale. Didn't you sleep well?" "Yes, a little." CO1 smiled slightly. "What, have you been playing around with someone to the point of exhaustion?" Just then, CO1 received a phone call from Min CO1. CO1 answered with a grimace, "Min CO1, be quiet for a bit. If you keep nagging, I'll hang up." Linen noticed CO1's annoyed demeanor. "After rolling around together, now you act so cold?" After hanging up, CO1 turned and asked, "Is the schedule busy this morning?" "No, there's nothing special this morning." "Then it's okay to come to the company in the afternoon." Having said that, CO1 lay down on the bed. And said to Linen, "Sleep a little more." Then he patted the empty space beside him, "Come lie down here." Linen stood frozen, at a loss for words, suddenly being told to lie next to him. After spending the night with someone, today you're frowning and abruptly hanging up the phone, flipping like a pancake. Linen hated this push-and-pull game of CO1's, but if he refused, he wouldn't be able to sleep at night out of regret. Linen just stood rooted to the spot. "Secretary Linen," CO1's call interrupted Linen's thoughts. "I'm just asking out of concern." "It's not that you're jealous, is it?" CO1 asks again, "Is it true?" He asks with such a cold expression. "You are truly cruel." Linen's heart feels constricted, but he can't show it. "That's not it. I just couldn't sleep, so that's why." CO1's face relaxes a bit. "What's wrong? Is there something bothering you?" Linen's inner voice screams, "It's because you spin me around like a top, always thinking about that day." But of course, Linen swallows these words. He makes up an excuse that he's worried about his brother who does dangerous work, who was injured last night and had to be taken to the emergency room. "And cleaning up the blood, so I couldn't sleep. The truth is, that happened many years ago." Linen pretends as if it just happened yesterday. CO1 shows concern. He inquires a little. Then he says with a bright smile, "I'm lucky then. I thought Secretary Linen was jealous because he likes me. I'm too old to spend energy and emotions on such feelings." Linen felt the same until he met CO1. "I understand, those things are very exhausting." CO1 seems relieved. "I'm fortunate that Secretary Linen shares my thoughts. Come here and lie down. If I rest my head there, will I really fall asleep?" "Then sleep. If the director isn't working, why should the secretary come to the office? In fact, even without the director, the secretary still has a lot of work to do." At that moment, CO1 reaches out. "Linen." He pulls him to lie next to him, using his arm as a pillow for him. He gently kisses his forehead. Behind his neck, intimately, like a loving couple. Linen softly calls out, "Director." He wants to ask, "Do you like me?" But Linen can't bring himself to say it. "I will really sleep now, okay? I will wake you, so sleep peacefully, don't worry about anything." The wound was because of CO1, and it was CO1 who healed it. Linen once thought that just being intimate with him was enough, but now he realizes he was wrong. He has come to like this person too much. Linen turned around. He hugged CO1 tightly. CO1 whispered softly, "Secretary Linen." Then he hugged Linen and patted his back gently. "No matter how painful it is, I can't stop myself from liking you." The two of them fell asleep like that. There was something very hot and itchy. Linen vaguely felt it in his sleep. He woke up startled. "Director." CO1 smiled brightly when he saw Linen awake. Linen groggily felt something very hot and itchy. He woke up startled. Then he saw CO1 playing with the gun of the sleeping person. He smiled brightly when he saw Linen awake. In a daze. The red marks on CO1's collarbone caught Linen's eye. Tears just flowed, streaming down his cheeks. CO1 gently kissed his eyes. It's ridiculous that this sweetness does not stem from love. That made Linen unable to hold back his tears. Linen woke up in a daze, his body sore and limp. However, he still had to drive the boss to the company. wondering if it was because he was worried about his own life. CO1 usually sits in the back seat. But today, he sat in the passenger seat, then sat there staring at Linen. Please stop looking at me. Don't mind, just drive normally. Linen tried to escape the situation. Are you hungry, sir? Yes, I am. Then let's eat first and go to the company later. Suddenly CO1 asked. Do I like it so much that it makes you cry? Surprised by this question, Linen almost hit the gas pedal abruptly. Using all the remaining sobriety, Linen continued to drive safely. But do you like it that much? Oh my, this person. Unable to bear it any longer, Linen shouted, Director, please. CO1 burst into laughter, holding his stomach. He teased a bit more before agreeing to stop. If I say any more, you might hit me, right? You won't tell your brother, will you? I won't say a word, unless I want to kill the director. Hearing Linen describe his brother as very scary, CO1 seemed eager to hear the history about him. Leon, 1 year older than Linen, was infamous as a notorious thug. When Linen was in his second year of high school, he was forced to transfer schools. At that time, despite being a good student, many did not like Linen. But no one dared to touch Linen because of his brother's reputation. Then there was a teacher assigned as the homeroom teacher. One day, the brother asked about Lin and school life. He honestly recounted the perverse actions of that teacher. Like how he often touched him inappropriately, or tried to hug him from behind. Or made him sit on his lap. A few days later, news came that the teacher was beaten up by robbers on his way home from drinking. And had both his legs broken. It wasn't just a robbery, the teacher's legs were injured so badly that he would never walk again. The police investigated, causing an uproar in the neighborhood. But they could not find the culprit. On the day of the incident, Leon returned home early in the morning. After removing his mask, he smiled, patted Linen's head, and said, Tomorrow, you can go to school without worry. Many were suspected, but none were the culprits. The perpetrator was still at large, so no one knew who it was. Linen smiled, knowing well that his brother did it but saw no need to spell it out. It seems his brother cares a lot about his younger brother. Indeed. Although Leon is a bit violent. For Linen, he is a good brother. So, if Secretary Linen told her brother that the director had harassed her, Linen replied, adding even the tearful incident, then that day the director will. While speaking, Linen glanced at CO1. CO1's humorous expression made Linen burst into satisfied laughter. When preparing to get off the car, CO1 continued to ask, Did you really cry because of me? Do you like me that much? Linen, embarrassed, shouted, Director. CO1 looked at Linen and then smiled, delivering the final blow. I will smooth things over so well that you can speak highly of me to your brother, okay? Linen couldn't resist such an adorable guy. Just then, Linen received a phone call. It was CO Geo. After canceling the appointment due to CO1's sudden appearance, Linen had forgotten to contact CO Geo again. As soon as he answered the phone, CO Geo immediately started cursing, that damn guy. I'm sorry, okay? Let it go, it's not the first time you've done this. A specialist in empty promises. You didn't plan to come to Busan, did you? Linen made excuses, I'm just too busy. See, it's Sunday and I still have to work with the director, right? CO Geo informed, I'm in Seoul now. Leave this weekend open, okay? If you stand me up again, I'll kill you. A warm voice sounded, and Linen remembered. That day, in a cafe in Busan, CO Geo had confessed his love to him. Today, Linen is more tired than usual. It's not because of lack of sleep. He's been unfocused all day. Because he keeps thinking about the director and Min CO1. CO1 left him to go with CO1. The marks on the collarbone, the nail scratches on the back, indeed they had been intimate. Drowning in pain, CO1 whispered, Secretary Linen, let's call it a day. It means he wants to leave work together. Linen's fatigue vanished completely with just one sentence from CO1. Having the car keys, going to work together, and knowing the house password. Linen realized he was special to the director. Suddenly, CO1 stared at Linen and said, Take a good look, Secretary Linen is really beautiful. Linen's heart pounded, visibly excited but still trying to control his emotions. Thank you for the compliment. CO1 frowned, his lips slightly pouting, it's not a compliment. Linen's face turned bright red with embarrassment. That means he likes my appearance. Is he starting to like me? Why does he make me hope again? CO1 said today he would drive and wanted Linen to stay at his house. With very convincing reasons like. And the elevator doors didn't open just then. Linen would have hugged and kissed CO1. The elevator doors opened, and CO1 appeared in a red shirt, her face scrunched up calling CO1. Brother, why aren't you answering my calls? This is the company, Min CO1. Aren't you allowed to answer the phone at the company? You're the director. I don't have time to answer your pointless calls. Moreover, in front of the employees, don't embarrass me. Faced with CO1's annoyance, CO1 looked aggrieved. It's because you keep leaving me behind. Linen was surprised by CO1's coldness, to the point that he even felt embarrassed for CO1. CO1 changed the subject. Brother, I haven't had dinner. Linen considered her a formidable opponent. Knowing she couldn't cry anymore, she changed her tactic, appearing pitiful. Linen worries that CO1 will leave him behind like yesterday. However, CO1 speaks frankly. I have an appointment already. What now? But I'm really hungry, and I don't have any money. Call room service, they won't ask you to pay. CO1 pleads earnestly. Brother, it's been so long since I've been back to Korea. Can't you have dinner with me? CO1 bluntly pushes CO1's hand away. I already skipped my schedule to eat with you yesterday. This area doesn't allow outside guests, don't come here uninvited anymore. CO1 presses the elevator button. Then pushes Linen inside. Leaving CO1 standing alone there. Linen thought he would feel satisfied witnessing this scene, but in reality, it's not the case. Both he and Min CO1 will not receive CO1's affection. However, CO1 is still ready to express it, while he hides his heart for fear of rejection. If one day he expresses himself, perhaps he will be rejected more coldly than CO1. Arriving at the parking lot, CO1 rubs his face wearily, his head aching. Even if you don't like it, you shouldn't do that, director. It will affect the relationship between both sides. Before he could finish, CO1 casts an annoyed look at Linen. Realizing his impulsiveness, Linen bows his head. I'm sorry, I've crossed the line, CO1 says silently, then speaks. Forget it, give me the car keys. No, sir, let me. CO1 is at a loss for words, I'm afraid an accident might happen. The atmosphere in the car is not very good, then CO1 says. I'm hungry, so what should we eat? How about donuts? It will be hard to digest if you eat that at night, sir. How about tteokbokki? The image of CO1 eating tteokbokki appears in Linen's mind, the scene is very adorable. Linen has never thought of snacking on such dishes. However, the atmosphere has become much less tense. CO1 cheerfully suggests other dishes, looking like a big kid. He is adorable like a child, but also as cruel as one. Out of pure curiosity, that child would crush the wings of a dragonfly. Linen is just like the dragonfly in the hands of this oversized child. Yet, he still likes CO1, because liking someone makes you notice their gaze. It leads to a restlessness that surpasses endurance limits. There's only one way for him to feel better. That way is through traffic. Linen says, I really want to commute with the director. CO1 responds with a smile that couldn't be brighter, then I must go really fast. Linen's heart races, CO1 wants him, not Min CO1, but him. Dreaming of a rosy future. Then Linen hears CO1 calling. Secretary Lin, you have a phone call. An unfamiliar number. Linen answers, and COGO's voice is heard. Let me crash at your place. I have nowhere to sleep, are you done with work? I'll come to the hotel. Despite his fondness for COGO, this is too sudden. Linen bluntly says, you could stay at a hotel, COGO frowns. Really, is that what you want? I'm off work, but I'm currently a bit busy. Then I'll come to your house, you still live in that house, right? Once, due to being too drunk, COGO took Linen home. He is surprised that COGO still remembers after just one time. However, Linen does not change his decision, I have a prior appointment, I'm out right now. The next time they meet, COGO's yelling is cut off. After hanging up, COGO sends a series of grumbling, cursing messages. CO1 turns to ask, what's wrong, do you have to go? Linen immediately waves it off, it's nothing, just an acquaintance suddenly contacting me. Linen wonders why he is making excuses. Seo1 meets someone else in front of him. And doesn't bother to hide the traces of that person. He wants Seo1 to experience the same feelings he had last night. But of course, there's no way Linen would choose Seo over Seo1. And yet, Seo1 said, if you feel uncomfortable, just say so. I will let you go. Linen wanted to freeze. No, I have a prior appointment with the director, how can I possibly go? Linen truly wanted to stay with the director. However, this relationship made Linen hesitant to express it passionately. He thought Seo1 wouldn't let him go so easily, but that was just his own illusion. Seo1 kindly said, it's not working hours now, I don't want to exploit Secretary Linen to the point where he has to give up his personal relationships. Arriving at the street filled with bars for the night owls. Linen stepped out of the car, thank you for the ride home, please drive safely. Seo1 smiled, Secretary Linen, see you tomorrow. That scoundrel, Linen muttered under his breath. He slumped his face onto the table, continuously downing vodka without any snacks. He knew that to Seo1, he was just a friend with similar tastes. Linen regretted not grabbing Seo1 and insisting on a relationship. But he knew he couldn't do that for fear Seo1 would realize his feelings. Lost in a drunken haze. Then a hand grabbed his. Are you crazy? A familiar voice spoke up. It was Seo. You scoundrel, it's all because of you, you're no help at all. It was you who abruptly hung up the phone and then suddenly called me here. What's with your eyes? Are you crying? Seo gently caressed Linen's face. That warm hand made Linen remember Seo1. The one who took the initiative to drive, the one who told him to stay at his place. Linen mistook it for care. But in reality, it was just to alleviate his own guilt. Seo didn't stop Linen anymore, he sat down beside him. He took out a cigarette. Then sat pensively without smoking. Linen said, I want to smoke. Seo handed the pack of cigarettes to Linen. But he shook his head and turned away, all right, I quit smoking 5 years ago, so I won't start again now. Seo patted Linen's head, you're doing well to resist. Linen, you're really good. The warmth of Seo. It helped Linen alleviate some of his sadness. Let's go home and eat some rice cakes. Realizing the implication in Linen's words, Seo cursed, this crazy guy. Then he crushed the unfinished cigarette he was smoking. Both returned to Linen's house. Seeing Linen staggering, barely able to walk straight. Seo said, you're too drunk to do anything else, just go to sleep. Suddenly, Linen pushed Seo onto the bed, pinned him down, and said with a laugh. What can two men on a bed do together? They kissed each other passionately. Linen realized that Seo had reversed their positions at some point, he frowned because he also wanted to be on top. But Seo was adamant. Today, you stay on the bottom. Until now, they had never clearly defined their positions. But Seo was usually on top. Seo flipped Linen over. In a daze, Linen suddenly imagined the silhouette and voice of someone else. Seo1 called out, Secretary Linen. Linen was startled. He turned around. And wanted to face Seo. However, even after turning around, Linen continued to think of Seo1, he tried to stay alert. And looked closely at Seo's face. But this approach was also ineffective. Linen burst into tears. I'm sorry, Seo, I have feelings for someone else, he tried to hold back his tears. His voice trembling, he continued, because of that scoundrel, I can't be with anyone else anymore. I've really fallen for that person. Linen didn't dare to look Seo in the eye. He bowed his head, hugged his knees, and sobbed. Seo sat there in silence for a long time, both bearing the pain of unrequited love. The next morning, upon waking up, Linen realized that his 5 years of quitting smoking had become meaningless. He had smoked the entire pack of cigarettes left by Seo. The sound of cracking knuckles. The air around Leon was thick with tension. Do you want to get punched, Linen? Linen was startled by the sudden voice. And because Leon's face today was terrifying, with purple bruises and a long, bloody cut. You said you quit smoking, so why did you smoke all of this in one day? And you smoked inside the house. Thinking he would receive a full punch from his brother. But then Leon sat down on the bed. He gently asked, is there something wrong? Linen was moved to tears by his brother, who was a year older than him. But before he could be moved for long, Leon said, "Before I tear you apart, spit it out quickly." "It's nothing, it's a bit embarrassing to say." "What is it?" "Because I like someone too much, that's all, it's normal, right?" Caught off guard by the question, Leon fell silent, saying nothing, making Linen feel embarrassed. As a result, Linen still received a few warning hits from his brother. Linen cursed silently, while Leon sat down on the bed, sighed deeply, and said, "This fool, what's the use of complaining alone? You have to grab hold and speak up, or just end it. Why suffer alone?" Linen could only silently stare. Leon, again angry, thumped Linen's pillow. "I told you it's not the time to be silent," Linen shouted. "Stop hitting, it hurts, I'm going to throw up." Linen continued to cry and curse silently. "Damn it, you're crazy." Leon sat down on the bed again, exhaled deeply, and said, "Like you said, it's too cheesy, so I have nothing to say." Leon stands up and continues, "I've already called your company to ask for a day off for you. I've also called the doctor to give you an injection, so hurry up and take your medicine." Linen is surprised because while he was deeply asleep, he didn't even notice when the doctor came to give the injection. "But what happened to your face?" "Of course, we fought. I won't be coming home for a while. So if anything happens, contact Han-so. The person whose phone number I gave you before. Han-so is the only acquaintance of your brother that Linen knows. He doesn't know if the number is still active, but Linen nods anyway. You're awake now, so I'll be going. When will you be back?" Leon pats his younger brother's head. "I don't know yet. Remember to take your medicine." Lying alone in the room, Linen drifts into thought. He recalls what Seo-won said. "You have my car keys. After work, just drive home, and come pick me up in the morning to go to work together." What does all of that mean, really? Or should I just say it straight out that it's a date? But he fears it's just his own misunderstanding. Linen hates it when Seo-won meets others. But it's even worse when Seo-won waits for him to meet someone else. Linen feels like he's about to go crazy. Right then, Linen's phone rings. It's Seo-won calling. Linen answers nervously. "I'm listening." "Are you sleeping?" "Oh no, I just woke up." "Are you at home?" "Yes, I'm at home." "Didn't you read the message? Did you contact me? Is there a problem at the company?" There's some rustling noise on the other end. It seems like Seo-won is no longer on the line. After a pause, Seo-won replies, "Come out here." Linen did not understand what Seo-won meant. "Why?" he asked. "I'll ring the bell." Indeed, the doorbell had already rung. "What are you doing? Hurry up and open the door." Linen sprang up and ran to open the door. Seo-won was standing in front of his house. Wearing an inner t-shirt, an outer knitted hoodie, paired with jeans. His hair was not gelled but naturally tousled. As if not believing his own eyes, Linen rubbed them to confirm he was not dreaming. But then he realized. His hair was like a crow's nest, his face swollen, and his clothes wrinkled. Realizing the situation too late, Linen panicked, hastily smoothing his face and hair with his hands. "Are you alone?" "Yes." "Have you eaten?" "Not yet. I brought porridge, enough for both. But you said your brother was not home. So, I can eat it." Linen was still in shock because the director had brought porridge to his house when the secretary was sick. "I don't understand." Before Linen could finish, Seo-won interrupted. "Aren't you going to invite me in?" Linen's heart pounded. His inner self screamed, "Young Seo-won is in my house." He knew he shouldn't expect anything, but did Seo-won come here out of concern? Or for another reason? More than concern, for example, did he want him? Linen's heart fluttered when he looked into those black eyes full of desire. How could he refuse when that desire was directed at him? Linen took the initiative to pull Seo-won closer and hugged him. As a result, Seo-won spent the night at Linen's house. The sound of the door opening woke Linen. He held his aching back. Looking out the door, Seo-won was wearing Linen's t-shirt and sports pants, carrying a few items from the convenience store in his hand. "Because I wanted to exercise, I borrowed his clothes." Unexpectedly, the director acted as if it was his own home. Suddenly, Seo-won leaned in and whispered, "Go back to sleep, I will take a gentle shower." Then he kissed Linen's forehead like a goodnight kiss. Linen was stunned, his heart racing. Seo-won smiled. And this time, he gently kissed Lin An's lips. Lin An was flustered by this kind of attention, similar to that of a lover. While Lin An was still confused by Co1's strange actions. Co1 had finished showering. He was only wearing the jeans from yesterday. Co1 looked irresistibly attractive, drenched. Suddenly, Co1 asked, "Does Secretary Lin An also smoke?" Lin An was embarrassed. "Occasionally," he replied. The ashtray piled with cigarette butts made Co1 suspicious. It didn't look very occasional. Yes, on that day, Lin An thought to himself. Co1 had bought a boxed meal from the convenience store. The director also eats that? The life of a single person is like that. Watching Co1 put the boxed meal into the microwave. And expertly pressing the start button, Lin An exclaimed. That day didn't seem like the third generation of a wealthy family at all. Liking hamburgers, buying boxed meals from the convenience store. But that was very charming. Because his body was sore, Lin An carefully twisted his body, and the blanket slipped down just enough to barely cover the lower part. At that moment, Co1 turned and asked, "Is Secretary Lin An hungry?" "Actually, I don't know anymore," Lin An replied. Co1, looking uneasy, exclaimed, "You look very attractive right now." Co1 approached Lin An, saying, "You look like an electrician." The two embraced each other again, the heat making them oblivious to someone entering the house. Leon had returned home after being away for 2 days. Lin An was startled to see Leon. Leon saw his sister with a man. Leon paused for a moment. Then he turned and left. Lin An's face darkened. In panic, she pushed Co1 away. She grabbed any pants from the floor, hurriedly put them on, and ran after Leon. "Wait, big brother, it's not what you think. It's not like that, brother. I'm not like that." Leon looked at Lin An without saying a word. Calmly, he sat down to put on his shoes. Lin An was anxious, thinking, what now? Surely big brother is very angry, surely shocked, no matter if he is my brother. Suddenly, Leon said, "Is that the guy you like? The one who makes you suffer?" Lin An trembled, unable to speak. Then Leon continued, "Well done, remember to keep the cooking oil bottle." Lin An was frozen by her brother's reaction. She was about to leave when Lin An hesitated. "That's right, remember to use protection." Leon slammed the door shut, and Lin An stood motionless. Seeing her brother embracing a man, is that all the reaction there is? When she came to her senses, Lin An remembered her brother had loudly said, "Is that the guy you like? The one who makes you suffer?" Suddenly, Lin An's head felt like it was about to explode. Could Co1 have heard that? Lin An wasn't ready to confess her feelings. Just then, Co1 called, "Secretary Lin An." Returning to the room, Lin An was startled to see Co1 sitting on the bed, holding his nose and mouth. Blood was continuously flowing from his hand. Lin An quickly pulled out a tissue and handed it to Co1. Why did this happen? Co1 looked at Lin An with annoyance. Wasn't it because of Secretary Lin An's slap? Lin An was flustered. Me? Oh. Then she remembered, earlier, when she saw her brother. She had instinctively pushed Co1 away, not expecting it to bleed like that. Lin An looked like he was about to cry. "I'm sorry, director, I was just panicked at that moment." "Does it hurt a lot?" Lin An wiped the blood off Co1. "What should I do? It's right on the face, that handsome face." "It's okay, I'll just wash it with water." Co1 went into the bathroom. Co1's nose had stopped bleeding, but the tip was still a bit red. Lin An rummaged through the first aid box. "I'm sorry, let me apply some medicine for you." "It's not that serious. But Secretary Lin An, your fly is open." Lin An paused for a moment, then slowly looked down. He gasped and quickly zipped up his pants. "It's okay, we've seen each other during the commute. We're brothers, so we understand. I've also just been seen by a stranger." Then Co1 continued seriously. "I wonder how he feels, seeing a man embracing his brother like that. I had let it go, but now Co1 brings it up again, and Lin An is startled. You didn't have to do that." Lin An felt helpless. "But how do you know my home address? I definitely don't do these things at home." "Of course, I looked at the employee records." Co1 looked aggrieved. "Wasn't it Secretary Lin An who attacked me first? You even said not to worry because your brother would be away for a few days. I just intended to bring porridge." Lin An immediately retorted. It was the director who said he would eat with me, then asked why I didn't invite him into the house. That's true, but it's because I saw Secretary Lin and looking with wide eyes. That's why I did it. Seo-won moved closer and kissed Linen. Seeing the swollen barrel, Linen says, "Director, in this situation." Seo-won smiles and says, "I also find it inappropriate." Linen currently needs to stabilize his mind, so he wants to be alone. "Now, you will leave, won't you, director? In this state of dress?" Suddenly realizing that Seo-won is wearing his sports pants. And he is wearing Seo-won's pants. Linen startles and intends to take off the pants to return them. Seo-won speaks seriously, explaining to your brother cannot be resolved in a day or two, right? Yes, that's correct. Seo-won hesitates a bit then continues. Do you want to finish what was left undone? Oh heavens, how can there be such a person? Suddenly remembering the earlier incident, Linen asks with a trembling voice, Director, did you hear what my brother said before he left? Seo-won remains silent, not answering. Linen anxiously stares at him, his heart pounding. Then Seo-won says, Your brother said something? I was suddenly injured earlier, so I didn't pay much attention. A month has passed since Linen was discovered by his brother sleeping with a man. Both his physical health and mental state have recovered. Linen's life goes on quietly as usual. The same goes for his relationship with Seo-won. Initially, Linen suspected that Seo-won had heard what his brother said. But Seo-won's attitude remains the same, so the wariness is gone. Today is still Monday as always. Only the weather has gradually warmed up. But on these April spring days, it's not yet time to turn on the air conditioner. I'll go home and get you another set of clothes. Is there enough time? I will go while the meeting is taking place. Please do that. Linen's face turns red with embarrassment as if he's about to explode. On the way to the meeting room, both encounter Seo-gyo. Linen turns his face away in embarrassment. Seo-gyo, is work going well? Yes, thanks to your concern. Linen knows Seo-gyo works at the hotel. But he didn't expect to run into him like this. Let's have a meal together next time, I have a meeting now. Yes, director, goodbye. As Linen follows behind, Seo-won heads to the meeting room. Seo-gyo's gaze follows him. Reaching the parking lot, Seo-gyo texts. Do you want to grab a drink tonight? Linen doesn't reply but puts his phone in his pocket. He arrives at Seo-won's house. Linen chooses a thin, gray-toned suit. Then he quickly returns to the company. Linen doesn't know how to reply to Seo-gyo's message. He easily refused others' confessions before. But this time it's different. Perhaps because he's also unrequitedly in love, he knows how painful rejection is. Seo-gyo is someone Linen has feelings for. Arriving at the company's parking lot, Linen unexpectedly runs into Seo-gyo. Why read and not reply? Seo-gyo throws an angry look at Linen. Linen looks down, I didn't know how to reply. I thought our breakup was the end. Seo-gyo is at a loss for words, what are you saying? Who invited you to commute together? Who said they liked you? I have my pride too. I'm not so desperate for affection that I cling to someone who likes someone else. But that doesn't mean we can't meet. We made it clear from the start of the relationship. What Seo-gyo says isn't wrong, they started a relationship without any commitments. But Linen knows Seo-gyo likes him. Before, Linen pretended not to know to comfortably enjoy this sick relationship. But that night confirmed it. From now on, he and Seo-gyo can't be the same as before. Seo-gyo sighed, not knowing what he was thinking anymore. Let's go for a drink next time, he said. Seo-gyo spoke and quickly left. Usually, another secretary would replace Linen whenever he was absent. She announced that Director Seo-won had finished the meeting about 20 minutes ago and was talking with Director Wang Won-hyun. She cheerfully said that she would go to the department store this afternoon to do errands for the director. Linen was curious because Seo-won had not told him. Linen asked, is it a gift for a guest? He said nothing. Just buy it for a young man, he instructed. Linen brought a new suit for Seo-won. Glancing at the desk, 2 cups of coffee were already there. It seemed the director had only taken a few sips. He shouldn't have brought hot coffee for someone feeling so hot, especially black coffee. Within 10 minutes, Seo-won changed clothes. Linen had managed to make a cup of iced coffee. It's crazy. How can wearing a tie look so attractive? Linen was proud of his ability to match clothes. Linen imagined spending the night at the director's house. He will choose work outfits for CO1. The director goes to work in clothes personally selected. I really like that. But of course, the truth is that they are not in that kind of relationship. When it's over, everyone goes home. Linen helps CO1 put on a coat and adjust the outfit. I heard Secretary Park say that you asked to buy a gift. Why not tell me to do it for you? I find Secretary Park's taste quite good, so I often ask her to do these things. Secretary Linen doesn't need to worry, this is just a personal matter. That's true, but because I like CO1 so much. Linen inadvertently wants to know everything about him. Because she was lost in thought, Linen pressed the button with a bit too much force. His hands are indeed enthusiastic. If you like it, I will continue to be rough like this. CO1 said, I only know that Secretary Linen changes clothes very strongly. Linen blushed and said awkwardly, have I ever been rough like that? There are a few shirt buttons scattered all over my house. Even the coat was removed so roughly, you're very good at unbuttoning. It's all because I learned from the director. CO1 smiled at Linen's response. Then he gently hugged and kissed him. And that shameless hand, poking around Linen's backside. Although wanting to throw himself at him. CO1 immediately, but Linen still had to say the opposite of what he felt. Doing this in the office is not appropriate. So who is doing that in the restroom over there? Because it was evening then. Oh, so it's almost evening now. Let's do it on that desk over there. I'll think about it after negotiating next year's salary. CO1 burst into laughter at Linen's joke. That was a smile that could be dangerous for Linen. Trying to suppress his emotions, Linen said, it's time to finish. CO1 gently kissed Linen again. He said with a bright smile, there's nothing else to do, so Secretary Linen, take a lunch break. After CO1 left. Linen stood there dazed for a long time. In the afternoon, Secretary Park returned. With a small gift in hand, possibly jewelry. Linen was curious about who the owner of the gift would be. Seeing Secretary Park had given the gift to CO1 and came out, Linen called out. Secretary Park. As expected, Secretary Park had bought a bracelet for men. Men also wear bracelets these days. I bought it from a brand that celebrities often use. Doesn't Secretary Linen know? Yes, I don't care much about these things. Perhaps that's why the director asked me to buy it. I am happy that there are things I can help with. Secretary Linen also suits that bracelet, she said. Secretary Linen, try taking off your glasses and see, your vision isn't that bad. If you take off your glasses, you'll be too handsome, which is not allowed. Linen's joke made Secretary Park laugh out loud. When Linen started the job, he was just over 20, so he looked very young. To appear more mature, he wore glasses, and it became a habit. Secretary Linen, you're quite eloquent, do you have a girlfriend? Your style makes others want to dress you. Linen forced a smile, I don't have one. But is my fashion sense so bad that others want to dress me? Oh no, it's not that. It's just that you look good in anything. But you always wear classic suits, so it's a bit of a shame. The watch isn't quite right either. This watch is a keepsake from my father. Linen uses it not because it has special meaning, but because it's enough to tell time. Secretary Linen, you don't have a girlfriend, do you? I have many friends I could introduce you to. You know I'm very busy. Linen just wanted to know more about CO1's business, but now it was a bit bothersome. Finally, Linen asked directly, did the director say where to send that gift? Perhaps he wants to give it personally, I haven't heard anything. Linen said coldly, I see, sorry to bother you. Today CO1 finished work right on time, Secretary Linen, let's call it a day. As they approached the elevator, CO1 said, let's have dinner together. I'll treat Secretary Linen to something delicious, then we can go to sleep. Realizing the implication in the statement. Linen's face turned red. Linen's feelings for CO1 had been growing steadily. CO1 led Linen to a famous French restaurant. You've had a hard day picking up clothes for me. It's just my job. CO1 said with a bright smile, even so, it seems I've overworked you, you've lost weight. Linen felt something strange. Recently, CO1 has been affectionate, but today even more so. It's indeed a dish from a high-end restaurant. Just looking at it is a feast for the eyes. Linen tasted the food. How is it? Is it delicious? Tell me more. I know I shouldn't hope, because CO1's behavior doesn't mean anything special. But it still excites Linen. Linen commented, and CO1 nodded in agreement. Next. It was the king crab that Linen had chosen. Is it delicious? Yes, the crab is chewy and sweet, spreading in the mouth, with a hint of sourness, very suitable as an appetizer. As for CO1, he only tasted a little. Then he didn't touch the Asen dish. I don't know why CO1 chose this dish when he hates Asen. Linen pushed her dish toward CO1. Please try it. CO1 smiled and ate the crab that Linen offered. Indeed, Linen is the secretary. If you don't eat, why choose it? I'm curious whether people who dislike it can enjoy eating it? I think you would like it if you didn't know it was Asen. And you don't eat foie gras either? No, but I know if I can't eat it, Secretary Linen will exchange it for me. CO1 smiled brazenly. Then he looked at Linen and whispered. Eat a lot. Because there will be a lot of activity today. A perfect evening with CO1. Linen sipped wine and glanced at him. Their eyes met. The atmosphere felt like a date. Instantly, Linen's imagination surged. CO1 took out a bracelet and handed it to him. Actually, I have something to say. Let's date seriously. It's just a fantasy, but it still makes Linen's heart race. It's great that Secretary Linen enjoys the meal. I didn't know he liked French cuisine. Yes, I enjoyed the meal very much, thank you, he says. It's nothing. Remember to go with Secretary Linen. I had a very comfortable meal, he replies. Linen is smitten by CO1's smile and intense gaze. Now is the appropriate time to take out the bracelet. Linen waits anxiously, then CO1 continues. It's just that the menu here has changed a long time ago, but I forgot to check it. Linen's inner self screams, the illusion shattered. Secretary Linen has a good taste in food and is very good at judging flavors. You could contribute your opinions at the food department meeting, he suggests. Linen is speechless with disappointment. Changing the menu, evaluating flavors, the food department, the meeting. It's just like working overtime. Linen replies modestly but with a hint of sarcasm. I'm not that much of a gourmet, but I'm honored by your high regard, he says. However, CO1 still doesn't realize. Indeed, it's good to go with Secretary Linen. He gets his hopes up only to disappoint himself. Linen's emotions are like a roller coaster. CO1 continues the topic about food, wanting to try Chinese cuisine with Linen next time. Linen, feeling petulant, says, yes, I like everything. But I still prefer Korean food the most. On a large table, there's a full spread of side dishes. So that's it. Is there any special reason besides that? Linen feels regretful for what he just said. It's just a momentary anger. Linen tries to blurt out the reason he likes Korean food. I've been studying abroad since middle school. So that's it, but I remember you went to university in Korea, he recalls. Yes, something happened in my family, so I had to return home. Since then, I've lived away from my parents and haven't had much Korean food. Memories flood back, it has been 10 years already. Suddenly receiving news of his parents' death, Linen immediately returned to the country. He does not remember how he returned, or how the funeral was organized. Everything was resolved by his older brother. Linen felt soulless, only knowing how to cry. His brother, 1 year older, told Linen to return to the US to finish his studies. But Linen did not want to be a burden to him. Surely, the memories from childhood still have an impact, right? I feel the same. This is the first time CO1 has shared a personal story with Linen. He knows about my father not wanting to join the family business, doesn't he? Among the siblings, my father did not get along with the chairman. Therefore, he was the only one exiled to a remote province. But my father was stubborn. Assigned a factory in the province for self-reflection, he left it all behind. He lived as a fisherman in a fishing village and had me. While the other siblings joined the business, he sailed the seas. The chairman remained indifferent because their relationship was very bad. He even shouted that you are not my son. To which my father replied, from today, I will be an orphan. It seems the director's personality is not much like my father's, is it? Me? I take after my father. Such things rarely happen, but occasionally, I let them show. Fortunately, I have my mother's caution. Anyway, when I was young, I lived in a fishing village. Coming to Seoul at the age of 50, the first hamburger I ate was really delicious. Even now, eating them regularly, I never tire of them. But conversely, I dislike the smell of fish, probably because I ate too much as a child. I was a bit surprised when Secretary Lin noticed that I don't like fish dishes and prefer hamburgers. Lin blushed because I am observant. Thus, lately, I have been able to work more comfortably. This is Seo-won's own way of saying thank you, making it easy for Lin to be moved. So, shall we go eat that dish next time? With that smile, Seo-won scored a perfect 100 points. Returning to Seo-won's house, both hurriedly embraced each other, sweetly exchanging kisses. Afterward, Seo-won whispered into Lin's ear. "Let's go to my room," he said. Lin stepped into the room. She saw that Seo-won had already finished showering. He was sitting and drinking wine. "Do you want a glass?" he asked. "No, I'm fine," Lin replied. "I've already had quite a bit to drink during the meal." What made Lin intoxicated at that moment was Seo-won himself. Seo-won collapsed in front of Lin. "Your gaze is really charming, Secretary Lin," he complimented. Lin was teased until she was on the verge of tears. He whispered, "Kiss, I want to kiss." Seo-won looked at Lin with longing and responded, "So do I." Today, Seo-won was like a perfect lover. Lin inadvertently scratched Seo-won's back fiercely. Seo-won did not resist, instead, he hugged Lin even tighter. After some intense activity, Lin groggily opened her eyes. She intended to take a shower. Then Seo-won turned over, came close, and whispered, "Does it hurt much?" "I'm fine," she replied. Yes, today was a bit too much. After they had tumbled together, it was time to draw the line. Actions like these, so sweetly intimate, made Lin's heart race. "Secretary Lin, you like watches, don't you?" he said. "I care too, I am a man after all. But it seems you always wear just one." "I only wear what I have at home. I'll buy a better one when I have time." "You don't wear other accessories, do you?" "No." After hearing Lin's response, Seo-won just smiled and fell silent for a moment, as if in thought. Lin fell into a fantasy. "Do you really like me? And that bracelet, is it meant for me?" Suddenly, Seo-won grabbed Lin and murmured, "Let's sleep now. Also, today Secretary Lin has to stay behind. Having been scratched so much by Secretary Lin, my back really hurts. He has to stay and apply medicine to my back, right?" Lin is shy, her face flushed red. "I apologize." Seo-won laughs excitedly. "There's no need to apologize. But did I do a good job? Nevertheless, you have to take responsibility for hurting me, right? He really is a thick-faced person who doesn't know shame, but he's too adorable." Seo-won whispers, "Let's go to sleep. Oh, and let's have another traffic round tomorrow morning." There's really nothing left to say to this person. Lin turns around, their eyes meet. Seo-won brazenly continued, "Let's continue tomorrow, and one more time now, shall we?" Lin, with a sore back from overexerting himself in traffic, went to work. But he was also very excited, quite sure that he would receive the bracelet from the director. A simple kind of bracelet that he could wear. Lin just laughed to himself for a while. Lin was indecisive about how to react. Should he show happiness or pretend to ask, "Why are you giving this to me?" Or like what he had done before, "I think we should not let emotions interfere with this relationship. Doing so might make him try even harder to please me." Just the thought made Lin extremely happy. Right then, Seo-geo messaged, "Join everyone tomorrow evening, you should come too." Knowing that being with many people is better than being alone with just two. But tonight and tomorrow night, Lin might go to Seo-won's house. For Lin, Seo-won is the top priority. Lin replied, "I'll consider it after work, but I'm afraid it might be difficult." Seo-won called Lin into the room. He smiled and said, "Secretary Lin, is your body still okay?" "I'm fine." Looking at Seo-won sitting there, Lin just wanted to rush over and hug and kiss him. To kiss until those lips swelled up. But Seo-won shattered Lin's fantasy, "Leave work early today." "Today, I had a family meeting. I didn't announce it beforehand because there was no specific schedule." Lin seemed a bit sad. "So, you took the car, right? Tomorrow, I will go straight to the company." Seo-won smiled and made a decision. "Let's rest for today." Lin hesitated because she wanted to kiss Seo-won goodbye. But in the end, she bowed and left. Perhaps yesterday's meeting didn't go very well. This morning, the managers were present in the director's office. They came out looking gloomy. CO1 had a headache. Linen prepared medicine and water for him. CO1 smiled faintly. Then he immediately took the medicine. Should we cancel this afternoon schedule? I wonder, the morning was already like this. What else could happen in the afternoon? Looking at CO1, he still seemed uncomfortable from the headache. Linen couldn't help herself and went behind him. She gently massaged his neck. You're addicted and yet shy, CO1 said. Caring this much is a disease. So, I'll stop. If you stop, what should I do? He replied. After complaining, now you're sulking. But in Linen's eyes, there's only a lovely sky. CO1 enjoyed it while saying, I don't care about inheriting the corporation. But their constant suspicion and checking annoy me. I just want to work in peace. It's irritating when they keep bringing up marriage. Don't they know the director's intentions? Those who know, know. Those who don't, won't. Don't you know many people want to connect with me? For them, my orientation isn't that important. One day, CO1 will have to marry too, he said, hurting Linen. It's strange that I'm telling this to Secretary Linen. As he spoke, CO1 held her hand. He pulled Linen to sit in his arms. Then he kissed Linen's lips. After that, he wrapped his arms around Linen's waist and whispered, like this, you'll get addicted. In the office, we can only do this much. Even when annoyed, he still found Secretary Linen beautiful. Linen's heart was pounding. The director's face was the same. CO1 smiled and then whispered, comfort me, please. It wasn't yet lunch break, and anyone could enter the room. He really is crazy. And of course, Linen is crazy too. Because the door was not locked, the director said, I will make it quick. After finishing the work, Linen crawled out from under the desk. He adjusted his clothes and said, today, I plan to leave work on time. All right, leave work on time then. Seeing CO1 made him feel more relaxed than before. Linen was filled with happiness. You like me too, don't you, just as I like you? But Linen's happiness did not last long. Min CO1 came to the office again. Is CO1 inside, right? Just like the last time, CO1 went straight to the director's room without permission. Linen hurriedly spoke up to stop him. What caught his eye was the bracelet that CO1 had skillfully shown off by rolling up his sleeves. Linen followed CO1 into the room, dazed. Just like the last time, CO1 said. Secretary Linen, please go outside. Linen was so astonished that he couldn't react in time. CO1 continued, it's okay. Linen's heart was beating so fast it hurt, and he tried to stay calm as he texted Secretary Park. Secretary Park, have you already given the bracelet the director asked you to buy for someone? I delivered it to a long-term guest in the sales room last night. The answer from Secretary Park was like a knife to Linen's heart. He reassured himself that the bracelet Min CO1 was wearing was just a coincidence. But Linen's hands were still shaking as he checked the information. Long-term guest in the sales room. A familiar name appeared. Min CO1. After work. CO1 sits in the back seat with a tired face, rubbing his forehead. Linen glances at CO1 through the mirror, feeling a turmoil of emotions. I thought you had forgotten my birthday, which touched me deeply. Seeing CO1's happy smile, Linen realizes that the bracelet he has been looking forward to is Min CO1's birthday gift. Linen mocks himself. Linen, you fool. Did you think young CO1 liked you? Did you think he would give a gift to someone he doesn't love? Linen feels utterly ashamed and humiliated. Once again, it's all just wishful thinking. CO1 had lunch with CO1 and returned after an hour. Meeting a man while the traces of another man are still on your back. The anger makes Linen lose control even more. But he realizes he has no right to be angry. Arriving at CO1's house, Linen stops the car and says, We're here. Aren't you coming in? The director should sleep well, perhaps you need rest today. You can only sleep well if you do something, so come in quickly. Or is Secretary Linen tired? This desire, if it stems from love, would be wonderful. Linen has reached his limit. I have another appointment. Although Linen hinted at the traffic situation tonight, even though CO1 finished work on time, now Linen is also rejecting CO1. Linen bows, I will come back to pick you up tomorrow. See you tomorrow, Secretary Linen. CO1 shows no regret and walks away straight after speaking. Linen once said he would never miss CO1, but right now, he has no strength left to face CO1 anymore. Suddenly, CO1 stops and turns around. Secretary Linen. Yes, Director. CO1 hesitates for a moment before saying. See you tomorrow? Linen stands rooted to the spot. I know I shouldn't speculate about CO1's actions. But his hesitation confuses Linen. It's hard to suppress the desire to keep him. Linen clenches her teeth to keep from speaking out. Linen decides to go to the meeting place that COGO messaged. It's not just an excuse to come here because of the appointment, but because Linen doesn't want to be alone at this moment. They are close friends with both, from the time COGO was in university. The common point that connects this relationship is a sick homosexuality. Everyone here has been intimate with each other, seen things they shouldn't have, and become friends. COGO's face is flushed red, and he chuckles. Doesn't everyone have work tomorrow? Why drink so much? A cheerful guy says. COGO says there's good news. Hey, Linen is here, speak up. Suddenly, the guy stands up, grabbing the champagne bottle and shaking it continuously. Congratulations to COGO for getting dumped. The other two are extremely surprised. Did you confess to Linen? And got rejected right away? Linen can't believe she voluntarily came to this damned party. To add laughter, COGO even pretends to sob. Linen bursts into laughter. I do like someone. Everyone is extremely shocked. Who is it? Who has made Linen fall so hard? Does COGO know who it is? Talking so comfortably like this makes Linen feel somewhat better. Laugh a lot. It's unrequited love anyway. Everyone is shocked again. Linen has never said she liked anyone before. Even Linen herself finds it strange now. When one harbors feelings for someone, and it's unrequited love. Why does CO1 treat her like a lover? If he likes her, why did he give a gift to Min CO1? Is it just a birthday gift for a familiar younger brother? People are still curious. Unrequited love? Explain more. Can't you speak? Suddenly, COGO speaks up. I have a rough idea now. Linen is surprised, while everyone else seems excited. COGO smiles at Linen and continues speaking. Are you unilaterally in love with a man, and that's why you rejected me? What nonsense are you talking about? What do you know? Linen thinks COGO is wrong because, firstly, CO1 is 100% gay, not straight. The person you like is young, isn't it? Linen freezes, unable to control his facial expression. Just a glance is enough to see that the way you look at him is very different from normal. The next morning, COGO's words preoccupy Linen. My gaze when looking at CO1 is so special that even outsiders notice? It can't be. I've always hidden it well. If CO1 knew about it, he would have coldly cut off this relationship already. While lost in thought, CO1 suddenly asks, Secretary Linen, is there something you want to say? Linen stammers in surprise, no. CO1 speaks gruffly, drink moderately, don't let it affect your work. I'm sorry. Linen feels wronged because he didn't even drink much. He doesn't understand why CO1 is so irritable. Since last night, CO1 has been acting strangely, and I don't know what happened. Linen really wants to ask CO1 what his relationship with CO-hoon is, what CO1 thinks of him. Not wanting to eat alone, Linen accepts Secretary Park's lunch invitation. But throughout the meal, everyone keeps talking about matchmaking, which is a bit annoying. On the way back, Linen sees COGO is standing in the smoking area. Linen quickly goes to ask COGO for a cigarette. You've started smoking again? Do you realize how awkward you get when you talk about CO1? COGO blushes with embarrassment. Where's the director? He had a schedule, so he went out for lunch, COGO teases. I heard you're a great secretary, so why didn't you go with him? Linen glares at COGO. That's not it, COGO keeps staring at him for a while. The corners of his mouth lift in amusement. COGO threw away his old cigarette. Then, he took a new one and continued to smoke. Linen said with concern, I won't tell you to stop smoking, but please smoke less. COGO smiled. Only a lover can nag me like that, so don't act this way. That's true, Linen didn't know what else to say. This kid, he only makes others worry. You should worry about others, worry about other things. Looking into COGO's eyes, Linen easily recognized the feelings he had for her. Before judging others' eyes, you should manage your own. Returning to the office, Linen was overwhelmed with thoughts. Seo Gio easily recognized his feelings. And he also wanted Seo-won to realize them. But he also feared that if Seo-won found out, their relationship would end. Maybe I should just express myself. If Seo-won doesn't agree, then I'll leave. Linen was so lost in thought that she didn't notice Seo-won had come back. What are you thinking about that makes you look like that? Suddenly hearing Seo-won's voice, Linen jumped in surprise. Seo-won smiled at Lin's silly appearance. Right then, Seo-won leaned towards Linen and sniffed, smelling the scent of cigarettes. Oh, that was Seo Gio earlier. Seo-won was at a loss for words. Have you been fighting in love recently? You were still happy before. It's not like that. Linen saw the puzzled expression on Seo-won's face. Linen stood up and reached out to him, wanting to pull him closer. But his hand couldn't reach, as Seo-won bluntly avoided Lin's hand. It's none of my business, I was just asking randomly. Linen looked into Seo-won's eyes, a thought flashing through her mind. Is Seo-won jealous? The smell of cigarettes is quite strong, Secretary Linen. Seo-won's harsh words choked Lin's heart. It turns out it wasn't jealousy. Emotions erupted. Linen immediately followed Seo-won into the room. Seo-won asked casually, is something wrong? Does it concern you, Director? Linen's reason screamed, don't speak, don't speak. Seo-won seemed unwilling to listen. This secretary, Linen, couldn't help but tremble, giving others hope, yet not wanting any feelings to arise. Even if reason screams, sometimes impulsiveness wins, like now. The person that I like. Don't say it, Secretary Linen. Before he could finish, Seo-won cut him off. I don't want to hear it, nor do I want to know. Linen's heart ached. What was he expecting after all? What did those sweet actions mean until now? He couldn't stop himself. He wanted to ask, Director, why? Seo-won interrupted him again with cold words. Was I mistaken? I thought we agreed from the start not to let emotions interfere. Right? This conversation should end here. I don't want to lose a capable secretary. These troubles are annoying, Seo-won continued. Lin's heart shattered. He had so much to say, but he couldn't voice the words. Seo-won tapped his fingers on the table and continued. I will give you leave until everything is settled. If it's still not okay, as promised, I will arrange a new job for you. Please resign. Seeing it as a nuisance, he immediately discarded it. So this was what his existence meant to him, Linen thought bitterly. Having seen and heard clearly, even though it was painful, at least some relief was felt in his heart. I will resign and there's no need for a transfer. Think it over carefully. Secretary Linen. Linen knew it was just a momentary outburst, but he would not regret it. To hurt once as if to die and come back to life is okay. After that, it will be fine. I don't care about it as a secretary. It's 100% my personal wish. This is the first time I've liked someone this much. So, I probably can't adjust my feelings to work for the director anymore. Seo-won did not reply, his expression remained impassive. Perhaps everything has ended. Linen quit his job. He didn't submit a resignation letter, nor did he wait to hand over his work. Linen often misses people. But things are not as difficult as he thought. Everything is fine, except he feels a bit empty inside. And he is unemployed now. Today is Friday. He recalls last Monday, he had dinner and a wonderful night with Seo-won. At that time, he still thought Seo-won liked him. Lost in thought, the phone rang, startling Linen. It was Sing-gu, the guy from the previous night's drinking party. Why didn't you answer Seo Gio's calls? I didn't even know Seo Gio called. He said he tried to contact you repeatedly but couldn't get through, so he asked me to pass on the message. Come over to our place. What place? Did you quit your job at the company and open a bar? That's right, you jerk. I'll send the address, so remember to come. Hanging up now. As soon as he hung up, Sing-gu sent the address and left a message. Remember to contact Seo Gio. Linen checked his phone. Indeed, there were many missed calls and messages. He found it funny. In the past, he always checked his phone day and night to not miss any calls. Now, he has too much free time. So, it's time to delete them. Linen went to the address given by Sing-gu. Sing-gu complained about Linen quitting his job suddenly without a plan. You never know, if you can't find a job, just ask Cogo to hire you, right? You scoundrel, you're really something. Linen realized he had spoken out of turn because everyone in the group knew Cogo liked him. You rejected Cogo, and now what do you plan to do? I admit I was wrong, but you went too far. You think I wanted to quit my job on a whim without any thought? Everything has a reason. What's the reason? Linen was silent for a moment before speaking. Let it go, I can't say anything anyway. Linen is a pervert, attracted to both men and women. Linen has never been one to share personal matters. All relationships have been merely social. There was only one person Linen wanted to understand his heart, but now there's no need to like her anymore. Singu earnestly said, nevertheless, please treat Cogo well. Consider it a favor I'm asking of you. You might not know this. Cogo is our idol. To be honest, none of us like you. You're a pervert too, and your character is despicable. I get it, stop it, I said. Singu appeared disheartened. Why does Cogo like someone like you? You called me here to fight, didn't you? Not really, but I'm quite annoyed. Please don't hurt Cogo anymore. I have enough on my plate, no energy left for others. What are you talking about? Linen was dejected. Haven't you heard what our idol Cogo said? I'm also in unrequited love, okay? I quit my job because it was painful to see that name. Are you satisfied now? That's it, and you quit? Linen suddenly wanted to hit him. Just then, Cogo called. Singu handed the phone to Linen. Yeah, what's with the yeah? Leaving halfway like that, you think it's fun? I'm just bored, the conversation sounds good, the whole company is in chaos. They say the director's secretary had to endure for a long time, that's why she had to quit. I quit for the sake of my honor. Cogo was silent for a bit, then asked, are you okay? What's not to be okay? I just wanted to quit. No worries, just a bit sad. Then I'll make a reservation for dinner, wait a bit. Linen cursed inwardly. Is that where your fans gather to drink, and then you call me a jerk? Today hasn't been too bad. If it goes on like this, Linen thinks a little more time will be enough to forget. Linen arrived at the meeting place with everyone. He kept drinking continuously. He laughed and talked cheerfully, but there was no particular matter. Linen was quite drunk. He staggered outside to smoke. Suddenly, he thought of CO1. He wondered if our director Young had finished work yet. Linen rummaged through his pockets for his phone but couldn't find it because he had left it at the drinking place. His reason suddenly awakened because he almost called CO1 while drunk. Suddenly, Linen was startled to see the person in front of him. It was Director Young CO1. In his drunken state, Linen did not hesitate to run over and grab CO1's hand. CO1's face clearly showed surprise. While Linen smiled happily. Linen pulled CO1 into an alley, then approached him proactively. CO1 seemed quite indifferent but did not resist, letting Linen do as she pleased. Seeing that CO1 did nothing, Linen spoke with delight. At this point, CO1 began to take initiative. He wrapped his arms around Linen. The two of them pulled each other into a nearby house. CO1 acted coldly and forcefully. Linen raised her hand, intending to grab his neck. Upon receiving his cold gaze, it made Linen shiver slightly and snap out of her drunken stupor. Linen's heart ached, he turned his head away and tightly closed his eyes. CO1 continued to be forceful like that. Until it ended. Just as it ended, CO1 immediately dressed and quickly left the room without saying a word. Linen did not dare to turn her head to look. After the sound of the door slamming violently, Linen just lay there, chewing over her pain, thinking, Linen, you've really gone mad. Linen walked unconsciously back to the bar. Cogo and everyone were gathered in front of the place. Seeing Linen, Cogo hurriedly ran to him. Linen, where have you been? You didn't even bring your phone. Linen, tired, took back his phone from Cogo's hand and said, let's meet another time. Cogo, angrily shouted, hey Linen, do you know how worried I've been? Linen calmly said, you're making me feel burdened, Cogo. Cogo could only remain silent in front of Linen's cold words, while everyone behind was astonished. Linen returned home alone. His body was tired and drained of energy. He felt heartbroken because CO1 treated him coldly. Just as he got home, Cogo quickly followed behind. He ran to Linen with a pained expression. Linen thought, when he stands in front of CO1, he probably shows this same face. But Linen couldn't control his emotions at that moment. He burst out in anger. I told you to leave, didn't I? I already said you're not allowed. I've already told you I won't accept you. The future won't be any different, so now. Geo smiled. I know already, you jerk. Damn it, what do you know? If you know, then why don't you leave? Take care of yourself, damn it. When I tell you to go, please just go. What about you then? If I just leave like that, what will you do? These words from Geo made Linen pause. Did I ever tell you to like me? Did I ever ask you to accept me? Geo continued with a smile, don't cry alone. Besides this, I don't ask for anything else from you. So why do you feel burdened? Compared to Linen, Geo was very strong and good at enduring. Linen burst into tears. Everything he tried to suppress broke down because of Geo. Geo followed Linen back to the room. The two lay back to back. Young Seo-won. That name kept haunting Linen's mind. Geo said nothing, just gently patted Linen's back to comfort her. Linen told herself she would never be vulnerable to Seo-won again. She would not allow herself to be treated like trash anymore. As a result, Linen fell ill over the weekend. Her body ached, and she slept in a daze for many hours. Geo spent the day off taking care of Linen. Today is Monday, and Geo has not gone to work yet. Linen asked, aren't you going to the company? I took a day off. It's not because of you. That's right, I have to endure here for a year. Otherwise, I will be forced to go abroad. What are you talking about? At first, I was a bit negligent at my father's company. So, he said he would send me to study abroad. I didn't want to go, so I endured it. My uncle sent me to Young Seo-won's hotel, and that's why I came to Seoul. It's not that I did it on purpose. I have been working for a month without a day off. After Linen finished the porridge, Geo cleaned up the dishes and tidied up the house. Then, they both watched TV leisurely. Shouldn't you be going home? Geo pretended to sulk. Are you driving away the person who spent their weekend off taking care of you? See if there's any humanity left. It's because Linen's condition isn't bad enough to need someone by her side. I don't want to owe Geo anymore. Go on, you should rest too. I don't mind. I'll sleep here tonight, then go home to change clothes in the morning. Isn't that troublesome? I'll stay just for today. Even if you beg me later, I won't be here. That evening, Linen thought about Seo-won again. But she couldn't fall asleep at all. Geo accidentally rolled over and touched Linen's hand. Linen was startled. She curled up and hugged her knees. Why isn't the person next to me Seo-won? The next day, Geo went back to work. Linen stayed at home, ate, slept, and played games. Tae-hwan, a guy from Geo's group, had arranged to have dinner with Linen. After beating around the bush, his real intention was to get close to Linen. Linen showed annoyance. I don't have feelings for you. Are you worried about this? I'm just curious about what you smell like, she said. Linen said with a bright smile, I don't like unattractive men. Her words were so hurtful that Tae-hwan's mouth fell open in astonishment. This name, it's the first time someone has called me unattractive, he said. Linen drained her glass of wine, emotions welling up, and she thought of Seo-won again. Perhaps Seo-won was also drunk that day. Because when drunk, desires flare up, and Linen felt the same way now. Linen took out her phone and texted Seo-won. Knowing she shouldn't repeat the mistake of the past, but her weak reasoning couldn't win. After a while, Seo-won replied, come out in 5 minutes. In the cramped, dark car, filled with warm and humid air. Linen bent down and comforted Seo-won tirelessly. After a while, amidst rapid breathing, Seo-won said, climb up here. Seo-won hugged Linen tightly around the waist. A mix of pain and pleasure, Linen rested her face on Seo-won's body. In the darkness, Linen couldn't see Seo-won's face clearly. He felt fortunate because of this, as Seo-won couldn't see the expression on his face at that moment. Linen took the initiative to kiss Seo-won. Seo-won turned his head away. Linen didn't give up and continued to kiss him. Finally, Seo-won cooperated. Just like the previous time, after it was done. Seo-won didn't look back even once. He returned to the driver's seat. There was only an awkward silence so intense that it was uncomfortable. As soon as he stepped out of the elevator, Linen saw Seo Gio standing in front of the house waiting for him. Linen felt so helpless that it annoyed him. Crazy, he thought. Seo Gio's face wrinkled as if he was about to cry. Linen felt ashamed of the pitiful state he didn't want anyone to see, yet Seo Gio had seen it again. On the other hand, Linen found Seo Gio truly pitiable. Apart from coming to find Linen, Seo Gio had no other choice. Just like him, unable to do anything else but seek out Seo-won. Linen moved forward and rested his face on Seo Gio's shoulder, truly exhausted. Linen wanted to coldly refuse, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. Linen closed his eyes, and Seo Gio just hugged him tightly. Linen continued to be immersed in this mistake. Since birth, he had never hated himself as much as he did at this moment. Unemployed and with nothing to do, on the other hand, Linen still had no intention of going back to work. Linen reconnected with people he hadn't contacted for a long time. He thought he was fine being alone, but now Linen realized he couldn't be alone. Meeting friends, drinking until late. Waking up late, a life of indiscipline repeated over and over. Almost every day involved drinking, then arranging to meet Seo-won and waiting for a response. Seo-won had never once refused Linen. Because of that, Seo-won had made an appointment. Linen tried to settle in an apartment. After the transaction was complete, Seo-won didn't bathe but just left like that. Linen was still left alone. When the two met, Seo-won only said a few words like, "Get out of the car. Go take a shower." Sometimes, Linen wished Seo-won wouldn't reply to him. But then he still wanted to meet him. It continued like this from day to day, knowing it was foolish but unable to stop. It had been 2 months since Linen quit his job. Every 2 to 3 days, Linen meets Seo-won for communication. The weather also shifts from spring to summer. As Seo-won prepares to go to work, he notices that Linen doesn't seem well and asks, "Didn't you sleep?" Linen shakes his head. His body and mind have been destroyed. Seo-won sets up breakfast, and they sit down to eat together. "It's raining today, so don't go out anymore. Stay home and play with me." While waiting, what is there to do? Cook. Don't you know how to make mixed noodles? I also like grilled beef, Linen says. Dream on, Seo-won. It's time to go to work. Seo-won pats Linen's head and says, "I'm leaving now." Linen pushes Seo-won's hand away. "You impolite person." Seo-won responds with a bright smile. Linen is sure that his day will not be bad. After sleeping, it's only 4 p.m. Outside, the rain pours down, and the sky is pitch black. Linen feels grateful to Seo-won, but that doesn't mean he will give Seo-won a chance. Past 7 p.m., Linen is watching TV when Seo Gio returns from work. "Why did you buy so much alcohol?" Seo Gio replies with a bright smile, "Tomorrow is a day off. We have to drink to our heart's content." "Don't you have any leave?" "Interns don't get annual leave. You were already noticed for taking a day off before." One might think that because of their relationship, Seo Gio wouldn't have to work overtime, but it seems it's because the internship period is still ongoing. After it ends, the work will become more challenging. But for Linen, the feeling of relief overshadows the worry for Seo Gio, as he will visit Linen's house less often. Seo Gio has bought sushi, which is something Seo-won doesn't like to eat. Linen inadvertently thinks of him again, wondering when he will be able to forget Seo-won. "What did you do today?" "Woke up late, cleaned, mopped the house, watched TV. I really like it. I also want to go out and play. Why not enjoy playing in Busan? What fun is there to have when living with parents?" Today, Seo Gio drank a lot, while Linen remained sober. Suddenly, Seo Gio said, "Linen, who have you been with these past days?" Surprised, Linen asked back, "What?" Thinking Seo Gio was asleep, he suddenly pounced, lying on the thighs, and hugged the waist tightly. "Our mother said, you disappear all day to meet someone. I'm right here beside you, do you still pay attention to someone else?" Thinking that Seo Gio was joking. But his gaze at Linen was not so. Seo Gio sat up, leaned close to Linen, and whispered, "Linen, let me help you forget." Unable to control his drunkenness, Seo Gio kissed Linen, a deep kiss. His hands, restless, caressed Linen's body. In the past, Linen was happy to be with Seo Gio, but now he felt extremely uncomfortable. Linen said sternly, "Seo Gio, move away." Seo Gio hesitated a bit. But then he moved closer. And intended to continue kissing. he whispered, Linen. Linen, furious, pushed Cogio away. Let me go, you bastard. Get lost. Cogio fell backward, his face pitiful, stammering, Linen. You're not leaving, then I will. Cogio bowed his head, begging Linen for forgiveness, but he remained angry. Linen felt pity for Cogio, for clinging to him like that. On the other hand, Linen thought Co1 must also detest him like that. After Cogio left, Linen curled up and hugged his legs. He was panicked and in pain, remembering Co1. Linen hadn't drunk much, so he was still lucid. But it didn't stop him from calling Co1. It seemed he couldn't bear it if he didn't see Co1. Linen was almost in tears, but he still tried his best to hold back the sobs. Director, today I want to meet you. Linen has been clinging to Co1 for the past 2 months. So, he still thinks Co1 will come to pick him up today. Not today. The cold response shocked Linen. His heart ached from beating so hard. I will wait at the apartment. I will wait, no matter how late it is. This feeling made Linen beg Co1. Without any dignity, and without shame. Co1 agreed, all right, let it be. Linen thought he had fallen into the deepest pit. But now he knows, that was not the bottom. There is still a deeper place for him to fall. Arriving at the apartment, Linen bathed and lay waiting for Co1 until midnight. The moment Co1 stepped in, Linen was overjoyed. But Co1 looked tired and spoke directly to Linen. Let's stop here, there's no traffic at all, now I will go home. Linen asked in surprise, why? I see that Secretary Lin is emotional now. In this state, I think we should not do it. The answer surprised Linen, a silly excuse. Now, I don't have time to deal with Secretary Lin's emotions. Having said that, Co1 turned and left. Linen grabbed Co1's hand tightly, his emotions exploding. Has the director ever cared about my feelings and mood? When did I propose romance with the director? Have I asked for anything else besides this? I called because I wanted it to be like that. There's nothing else in my head but that, so I made contact. The director came here because of that too. So, shut up and do it, director. Co1's face hardened, he coldly pulled down his tie and said, all right, then lie face down. Co1 was as strong as ever. Secretary Linen, don't make a sound. Because I don't want to hear it. The words were truly cruel. Linen wondered why he had to suffer like this. Linen's vision blurred gradually, tears fell automatically, tears of pain and humiliation. Damn it, Co1 cursed. Secretary Linen, Co1 called, but Linen remained silent. Co1 bent down to hold Linen's hand. He gently said, don't cry. Why are you crying? Co1 used his hand to wipe Linen's tears. Then he kissed Linen's eyes. With affection, he soothed, don't cry, Secretary Linen. Why is Co1 doing this? In a daze, Linen thought he was dreaming. He cried louder, with soft sobs. Co1 became gentler, each movement pushing his hips slowly and rhythmically. It was as if the old Co1 had returned. Linen realized he was awake, this was not a dream. The next morning, Linen blinked awake after a night full of emotions. After finishing work yesterday, Co1 had said, stay here tonight. It was the first time he stayed over at Co1's apartment. After returning home, Linen began to clean up the belongings Cogio had left behind. He wrote a resume to send to companies. Sometimes he remembered Co1. Just then, Leon called. It had been months since his brother had been home. Are you at the company? Can you talk on the phone like this? Linen didn't say he had quit his job, he said there was nothing important today. Leon said he would stay a few more weeks and had sent meat for Linen. And he reminded his younger brother to eat properly. Linen felt both touched and guilty. His brother was the motivation for Linen to quickly get back to work and become more successful. Suddenly, the doorbell rang, thinking it was the meat his brother had sent. But when he opened the door and saw the person in front of him, Linen froze. Secretary Linen, Co1 called calmly. Co1's face was emotionless. May I come in? Linen was flustered by the surprise. Yes, please. Co1 followed Linen into the house, glancing around. Linen felt fortunate to have cleaned up all the things Cogio had left behind in time. He asked, perplexed, what's the matter? Ah, the director will have tea, okay? All right. Co1 frowned slightly, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Do you want to communicate with me, Secretary Linen? Linen was so surprised that he stood frozen, unable to speak. His face flushed, his heart raced. "Oh, I want to." Linen replied and then pulled a face. CO1 approached him. CO1 wrapped his arms around Linen's waist. Their lips met, exchanging a deep kiss. CO1 took off his coat and loosened his tie. The air grew warmer. They moved towards the bed, continuing to exchange kisses. Today, CO1 was no longer rough as before, he gently caressed, fondling Linen's body. Suddenly, CO1 looked at Linen and said, "Don't cry today. It won't hurt, so don't cry, Secretary Linen." The sound of rain pattering woke Linen. Just waking up, Linen was surprised that CO1 had not left yet. He sat by the bed, gently rubbing Linen's swollen eyes. CO1 prepared to leave, he looked at Linen and said, "Look a bit." Then CO1 hesitated and continued, "Next time, let's go eat together." Just because of a word before leaving from CO1, Linen was restless all day. He was almost going crazy waiting for CO1's contact. He often hesitated, wondering whether he should contact first or not. In the evening, the doorbell rang. Linen ran to the door, overjoyed. But it was not the person he was expecting. It was Cogio. Cogio bowed his head, not daring to look directly into Linen's eyes. With difficulty, he stammered out an apology. "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Let bygones be bygones. I'm not that scared anyway, since nothing really happened. So, let's forget about it." Cogio still felt guilty. Linen was more resolute. He said coldly, "Cogio, I don't love you. I can't and don't want to try, because that feeling is not what I desire." Cogio interrupted Linen, rubbing his face before speaking. "We have known each other for so many years. Although I like you, it's enough for me if you just see me as a friend. That day was my mistake. But please don't push me away. Please don't act like you will never see me again. At least when you're in trouble, leaving you alone makes me very anxious." Linen was tired. He wanted to clearly define the boundaries. To end any relationship, but he couldn't bring himself to do it. "I hope you won't get hurt." Cogio forced a smile. "When you push me away like that, it hurts even more." Linen didn't know if what he was doing was right, but decided to leave it at that for now. "Have you eaten?" "I haven't eaten anything." "I can't cook for you, but I will grill meat for you." Cogio smiled joyfully. After Cogio left, Linen waited for a call from CO1. Finally, CO1 made contact first. "Do you want to come over to my place now?" Linen immediately took a taxi to CO1's house. Linen was determined to ask CO1 how they would proceed in the future. And what their relationship was. "Have you arrived? Kumin." CO1 opened the door with a bright smile, very different from the past. It made Linen's heart flutter. It seems that CO1 had been drinking alone earlier. CO1 pours more wine into the glass. Does he want to drink a glass? "No need, thank you." "All right, then he should go take a shower." Looking at CO1, there is something tired about him. The image of him sitting by the window, sipping wine, makes Linen's heart flutter. Linen approaches and kneels at CO1's feet. "I have already taken a shower at home." Knowing what Linen is about to do, CO1 softly calls out, "Secretary Linen." Linen continues to comfort CO1. Suddenly, CO1 grabs her hand, pulling Linen to stand up. Linen stands, facing the window, the night scene of the city stretching before his eyes. CO1 teases from behind, overpowering Linen. Although there are no taller buildings around to see, it feels as if they are doing that outside. Linen, with a flushed face, turns to look at CO1 and stammers, "Get on the bed." CO1 smiles. Secretary Linen is really strange. Good at seducing others indeed. Afterward, the two continue to cling to each other on the bed. CO1 whispers softly, "Go take a shower now. Then we will talk." Linen showers, guessing what CO1 is about to say. He is very optimistic about what he is about to hear. Could it be a confession of love? It seems there is a guest outside, Min CO1. Knowing that he gets dispirited when it rains, she has come to comfort him. While Linen is still flustered, CO1 sees him. That is the secretary who has resigned. CO1 shouts, "What's this? Have the two of you been intimate yet? I heard that you're quite compatible with this secretary, in that sense." Min Seo-won, this is not something you should concern yourself with. Yet, Seo-won doesn't stop. Why not? The chairman is right in front of the CEO. He hasn't finished speaking when Seo-won interrupts him. He speaks irritably, not intending to stop. Seo-won falls silent for a moment, then continues. He says he's not in love. I didn't know you were pretending like that, so I was really worried about you. If you have a lover, you should tell me. Seo-won sighs in frustration. That's not it. Seo-won keeps pressing. What isn't it? He and Secretary Lin are not in that kind of relationship. They have no relationship at all. Every word from Seo-won is like a dagger to Lin An's heart. This is Seo-won's affirmation of their relationship. He and Seo-won have no relationship at all. Seo-won bluntly says this in front of him. This time there's no deeper hole for him to crawl into. Lin An takes a few steps forward, speaking as she walks. Wait, I only came here because I have something to discuss with the director. I should have gone to the company, but the director said he was too busy. So I came here even though I knew it was a bit impolite. Seo-won turns to look at Lin An. And Lin An only looks toward Seo-won. I know the director's orientation, but it's quite rude to loudly say that I'm gay. Lin An bows to Seo-won. So, I'll take my leave now, director. Seo-won hesitates slightly. Yes, Secretary Lin An. Goodbye, sir. Lin An flashed a bright smile before turning to leave. Lin An realized that acting wasn't too difficult, he didn't show any pain at all. Outside, it was raining cats and dogs. Lin An didn't have an umbrella. He just walked on under the heavy rain. This crazy guy, Seo Gio's voice, how did he appear in front of Lin An? Why is this madman here? Seo Gio approached to cover Lin An with an umbrella. Tears were about to spill as he trembled and said, if everything had gone smoothly, I was ready to give up. But you keep doing this. I will never make you cry. I always do everything you ask. I don't do anything you dislike, so I won't let you get soaked in the rain. Lin An asked calmly again, are you crying? Seo Gio exploded in anger. I'm not crying. Is that what you're saying now? Seo Gio cursed vehemently. Yes, I'm crying. I'm so tired of you acting like a fool. Damn it, why do you like that jerk? Lin An just smiled. He didn't know what heartache felt like anymore. Now, Lin An only found it funny. About himself, about Seo-won, about everything. Lin An calmly patted Seo Gio on the shoulder to comfort him. I plan to travel for about a week. It's just to clear my mind, don't worry. I'll be back after I go. Traveling for a whole month. As soon as he returned home, Seo Gio called to inquire and arrange a meeting. Stepping into the hallway, Lin An was surprised to see Seo-won was standing in front of his house. I called but couldn't get through, and messages wouldn't send either. Lin An replied coldly, I went traveling. Do you need something? Lin An's secretary, Seo-won, sighed lightly and then continued, it's my fault. Let's date. The sudden confession surprised Lin An, freezing him for a moment. Hey, Young Seo-won, what now? I no longer have those intentions towards you. Lin An smiles brightly in response.